Everyone and welcome to Proof Talks. In today's presentation, we will be reviewing the warning letter that was issued to Centaur Pharmaceuticals in June 2023. As we all know, once the USFDA conducts an inspection, it issues Form 483 for any of the deficiencies cited. The firm has to respond to that Form 483s. However, if the response is not accepted by the FDA and the CAPAs proposed are not effective, then USFDA issues the warning letter. Okay, so let's move ahead and see what this warning letter contains. This warning letter has been issued on June 5th, 2023 in the name of the Joint Managing Director, and the issuing office is Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, that is CDER. The warning letter is referenced as 3202315 and it is dated June 5, 2023. So in that the preface, the USFDA states that USFDA inspected the drug manufacturing facility and they've mentioned the FEI number, that is the Field Establishment Identifier number, located at Ambernath, Thane, Maharashtra from November 14 to November 21st, 2022. This warning letter summarizes significant deviation of the current good manufacturing practices for the active pharmaceutical ingredients manufactured at the facility. Because the methods, facilities, and controls of manufacturing processes, packing, and holding do not conform to the CGMP. The API are adulterated under the section 501A2B. So in this section, the definition of adulterated drug has been provided. So the USFDA reviewed the response that was submitted by the firm on December 7, 2022 and acknowledged the further communications also. During the inspection, the investigators observed specific deviation including but not limited to the following, and we'll see from the next slide what the deviations are. Before moving ahead, please ensure that you have subscribed to the channel Proof Talks and have pressed the bell icon so that you can receive the notification of upcoming presentations. Majorly two deficiencies cited in this warning letter. The first one is failure of the quality unit to exercise its responsibility to ensure the API manufactured are in compliance with CGMP. So there are two sub-observations, A and B. The observation A stands, the quality unit failed to ensure adequate control over the documents over paper and electronic records. Okay, and they've given examples: analytical worksheets, incident report forms, non-conformance reports, batch release copies, and printed black forms were stored in laboratory drawers and cabinet with unrestricted access and inadequate control. The GMP document blank analytical worksheet recording for the high performance liquid chromatography for the stability 48-month time point was issued by QA with a control number of 2261. A second GMP document, that is blank analytical worksheet, was issued with the same control number, that is 2261. Original GMP documents were discarded and shredded without a review and a meaningful description in the logbook. So the logbook titled as Logbook for Shredding Machine described the document being shredded as discard waste papers. However, the discarded records included analytical worksheets, laboratory incident forms, and training records. So in the response provided by firm in December, the firm stated that the document control SOPs are consolidated and document issuance and destruction is under the control of quality assurance. In addition, an analytical QA team was also implemented to review the quality control records. Employees who have been included in the data integrity concern were either reassigned or removed from their duties. The response acknowledges that the firm has created uncontrolled documents and destroyed GMP documents without adequate controls and accountability. So the response is inadequate. The firm has not identified and addressed the scope and extent of the practice of discarding and shredding the critical GMP documents, that is raw data sheet, analytical worksheets, etc. And the firm does not address the deficiency of assigning the multiple GMP documents with the same control number. The sub-observation B under the first observation is the quality unit failed to ensure the materials are appropriately tested and the results are reported. Okay, the example includes an HPLC system processed unlabeled vials of solution. So the firm could not provide evidence that these unlabeled vials contained the solution described in the HPLC system sequence. Reliability of data is compromised when there is failure to maintain complete records of the conditions and the data associated with all tests. The lack of complete data comprises the quality unit's ability to exercise its function and ensure compliance with applicable records. The firm's response acknowledged that the first analyst did not label the HPLC vial and the second analyst did not conduct a verification of the labeling. However, the SOP titled Good Chromatographic and Analytical Techniques will be revised to incorporate the vial verification checklist for use by the QC supervisor. Also, the firm planned on providing training for vial labeling. The response is adequate as the firm did not determine the scope of this deficiency and also did not provide the root cause analysis. The effectiveness of the firm's CGMP training program appears to be inadequate. Adequate quality unit oversight of all manufacturing operations is necessary to consistently ensure drug product quality. For observation 1, the USFDA has provided expectations that in the response letter provide a comprehensive assessment and remediation plan to ensure the quality unit is given the authority and resources to effectively function. The assessment should include but not limited to a determination of whether procedures used by the firm are robust and appropriate, provisions for the quality unit oversight throughout the operations to evaluate adherence to the appropriate practices, a complete and final review of each batch and its related information before the quality unit disposition decision, oversight and approval of investigations and discharging of all other quality units duties to ensure identity, strength, quality and purity of the products. A complete assessment of documentation system used throughout the manufacturing and laboratory operations to determine whether documentation practices are sufficient, including a detailed CAPA plan that comprehensively remediates the firm documentation practices to include and retain all the ALCOA Plus principles. A comprehensive review of the material system to determine whether all suppliers of component containers and closures are qualified and the material received are tested and released in accordance with the specification. A comprehensive assessment of the laboratory practices, procedures, methods, equipment, documentation, and analyst competencies. Based on this review, they should provide a detailed plan to remediate and evaluate the effectiveness of the laboratory system. Assessment of the firm's CGMP training program effectiveness involving QC laboratory operations. The second point cited in the 483 and the warning letter is failure to clean equipment and utensils to prevent contamination or carryover of a material that would alter the quality of the APIs beyond the established specifications. Okay, so the firm failed to have adequate procedures for cleaning and maintenance of the manufacturing equipment. The investigator observed manufacturing equipment labeled as clean and noted some deficiencies, which include the material was peeling off from the inner side of some discharge and the material was entrusted onto some equipment and residues were present on the inner surfaces. Okay, so in response, the firm explained the material observed is insignificant and non-reactive and committed to implemented preventive measures which include the updating of SOPs to manage the peeling of the material and adding a checkpoint for verification. However, the response is adequate because the firm did not evaluate the potential risk of peeling off all the APIs that the firm manufacture and did not provide any evidence that the material does not react with the APIs other than that specified. So the firm failed to include a gap assessment of the root cause of the deficiency. Inadequately cleaned and maintained manufacturing equipment can lead to potential cross-contamination and could compromise the API's quality and safety. The second point also, USFDA has provided some expectations in response to this letter, provide a comprehensive independent retrospective assessment of the cleaning effectiveness to evaluate the scope of cross-contamination hazard. Include the identity of the residues, other manufacturing equipment that may have been improperly cleaned and an assessment whether cross-contaminated products have been released for distribution. The assessment should identify any inadequacies in cleaning procedures and practices and encompass each piece of manufacturing equipment used to manufacture more than one product. A CAPA plan based on the retrospective assessment of the cleaning program that includes appropriate remediation of the cleaning processes and practices and timeline should provide a detailed summary of vulnerabilities in the process for life cycle management of the equipment cleaning and describe improvements to the cleaning program, including enhancement of the cleaning effectiveness, improved ongoing verification of proper cleaning execution of all products and equipment. Appropriate improvement to the cleaning validation program with specific emphasis on incorporating conditions identified as the worst case, and they should include but not limited to the drugs with higher toxicities, drugs with higher drug potencies, drugs of lower solubility in their cleaning solvents, drugs with characteristics that make them difficult to clean, swabbing locations of areas that are more difficult to clean, maximum hold times before cleaning. In addition, the firm has to describe the steps that must be taken in the change management system before introduction of a new manufacturing equipment or a new product. A summary of the updated SOPs that ensure that appropriate program is in place for verification and validation of cleaning procedures for the product, processes and equipment, and providing an holistic review of cleaning procedure and the associated cleaning validation strategy for all manufacturing equipment to determine whether similar deficiencies exist. In the conclusion, USFDA cites that the deviation listed into this warning letter are not all inclusive, and it's the firm's responsibility to determine any further deviations and to prevent their recurrence. If the firm is considering taking some action that is likely to disrupt the supply of the drug, then they have to contact immediately to the drug shortage staff of the CDER, and the USFDA can work closely with the firm or any other firm to ensure that there is no shortage of medicines into the US market. If the if the actions are not completed promptly, the FDA may withhold approval of the new applications till all the corrective and preventive actions are implemented, and the firm may be re-inspected to verify that they have completed the corrective and preventive actions. If there is a failure to address the deficiencies and the deviation, the FDA may refuse admission of the articles manufactured at Centaur facility, which is practically called as import alert, and the firm has to respond within 15 working days for with a complete corrective and preventive action plan and the completion of the action plan. And if they are unable to complete the corrective actions within the 15 working days, they have to provide the reason for delay and the schedule for completion. We come to the end of this presentation. Hope you have liked the presentation. Kindly subscribe to the channel Prof Talks for more such informative videos.